Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, and as always, we're here talking about how to use real estate to build a life that's worth living. A life that is, as we mentioned in the intro, but I really like to say it again to make sure that people truly understand what we're doing here. And it's a life that includes family, romance, fitness, travel, fun, continuing growth, charity, all the parts of a balanced life. So today we're going to talk about why we never pay real estate off, and then we're going to answer member questions. I do want to touch on yesterday's show. This was an interesting show for me as far as results and the number of people that emailed me, where I was talking about raising expectations for your fitness, raising expectations for your wealth, raising expectations for your romance. And those were the three big ones that we hit. The idea was, though, to give you some tools to raise your expectations for all the parts of a balanced life. But I got a tremendous amount of response from that, including people wanting the book I was offering in case they had been, I don't know what the word for it is, just beat up by parents, teachers, and stuff like that, and they had a low self-esteem as a result. So I got a lot of touching emails. I just want to thank everybody that emailed me yesterday. Even though I didn't get to all of them yet, please be aware that they are still in my box, and I will get to them probably by tomorrow. I'm teaching a class this evening from 6:30 to 8:30. Any of you that would like to meet me and check out that class, this is our free 2-hour introductory workshop where we explain how the mentoring works at Real Wealth Academy. If you're interested in that, go to GetRealWealth.com. Upper right-hand corner, you'll see free workshop. Click that, and you can make a reservation. Come on out and meet me this evening or Saturday morning. I'm doing one tonight and one Saturday morning. The Saturday is from 9 to 11. The one tonight is from 6:30 to 8:30. And again, you can go to GetRealWealth.com, upper right-hand corner, free workshop. So yesterday, one of the callers prompted this, or an answer to an email question, prompted this subject, which is why we never pay real estate off. And the simplest reason is because it destroys your cash-on-cash rate of return. Destroys it. If a financed home can have 24% rate of cash-on-cash rate of return, my average was over 20% on the last 20 houses that I bought. In a paid-in-full home, your rate of return is going to drop dramatically down to 6, 7, maybe 9% rate of return. Now you may say, well, that beats the stock market, but it's still well below the way your money could be performing. Your money should be performing at its highest and best use. That's a business principle if you've never heard that. And it's actually a real estate principle too. It's highest and best use. Because I'm sure some of you have seen them tear down beautiful buildings to build a new building. And in your mind you went, what? That was a perfectly wonderful building. It was beautiful. But it wasn't the highest and best use for that particular piece of property. You have to be just as disciplined with your money as these professional businesses are. Because as we talk about, a family is a business, and Most people don't treat their family like a business. I don't know what they treat it like. They don't even have a definition for what it is. But your family has income and expenses, just like a business. And it's supposed to run at a profit, which shocks people. That profit is your savings that you go buy income producing real estate with. You're supposed to have a profit. And since people don't treat their families like a business, they don't even treat it like anything. It's just that, whatever happens, happens. And then you see successful people, they treat their family like a little business, because that's what it is. So its highest and best use for your money is to keep the properties financed. The other thing, well, let's look at the numbers. If you take a $200,000 house, and let's say your all-in number is $150,000. That means you purchased it for $110,000, rehabbed it for $25,000, you have $10,000 in closing costs, you got $150,000 in it. But let's say you pay that in full. You put $150,000 into the deal. Your argument would be, well, now I don't have a mortgage. Okay? But you still have taxes and insurance. And let's say that's going to be, let's say $350 for taxes and $150 a month for insurance. So you're up at $500 a month. You're leasing that thing for $1,500. So you would say you take out $300 for vacancy and maintenance. You're netting $700 a month cash flow on that deal. That $700 a month times 12 is $8,400 a year. Divided by the $150,000 you have in it. Let's do that real quick. Give me 1 second to get this. I thought I had this memorized. $8,400 divided by $150,000. That's, like I said, 5.6% rate of return. A mortgage on something like this is not 1%. This is where people are getting it wrong. The mortgages on my houses, the last 20 that I bought, were probably around $400, and my out-of-pocket was around $18,000. When we come back, we'll look at the rate of return that I'm getting on that $18,000 and why it's almost triple, if not quadruple, the rate of return that you get when you pay a home in full. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. You're listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Did you know that 95% of Americans fail to retire by age 65 and 36% are dead? The good news is that here at the GetRealWealth.com radio show, we know what the other 5% are doing. 70% of them own real estate. We are a mentoring group for new and experienced real estate investors. We will show you how to build a second stream of income that will allow you to retire at any age. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, please go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about why we don't pay off our real estate. And the main reason I don't pay off my real estate is it's literally 3 to 4 times higher rate of return than if you pay a property in full. Now, I did a mistake in the first segment. So what I would like to do is go backwards. And remember when I said $1,500 rent? I was thinking of a $150,000 home. But I had said a $200,000 home that we bought for $150,000. So the rent should have been about $1,700 in that scenario. So the rate of return isn't 5.6%, it's 7.2. In other words, it's not $700 a month cash flow after taxes, insurance, maintenance, and vacancy. it's $900 a month. That comes up to $10,800 divided by the $150,000 you have in it. It's a 7.2% rate of return. 7.2% rate of return. And again, some people would argue, well, that's better than the stock market. Plus, you're not including appreciation, equity buildup, and equity capture. Agreed, but it's still a third of what you would get if you finance the property. So if we finance the property and we put $18,000 down on that $150,000, that would give us a rate of return, a cash flow, let's go with cash flow first, of $400 a month. Well, $400 a month times 12 is $4,800 a year. Divided by the $18,000 we have in it, that's a 27% rate of return. 27% rate of return compared to a 7% rate of return. That's almost 4 times higher rate of return. And while you were only able to buy one house with that $150,000, I took the $150,000 divided by $18,000 and bought 8 houses, each producing me $400 a month, which is $3,300 a month off of my $150,000. You generated $900. So even the cash flow, well, I guess it makes sense. The cash flow and the rate of return are 4 times as high. Yeah, 3.7 times as high. 3.7 times as high. So it makes no sense to pay off real estate. The next argument would be, well, but wait a minute, I'm safer. I listen to Dave Ramsey. All debt is bad. And I'm not putting down Dave Ramsey. I like Dave Ramsey. But I disagree with him on this one point, that income producing debt is good. He thinks all debt is bad. The reason he does is because he tells a story of going into a recession and losing a bunch of real estate. And he blames it on having debt. And I'm sorry, that's just not accurate. See, there's no such thing as investing in real estate without debt. If you go out and buy $1 million worth of real estate and you pay $1 million for it, you pay it off in full, you still have debt, taxes and insurance and maintenance. You still have debt. So for someone to suggest I couldn't make my mortgage payment, guess what? That same individual wouldn't have been able to pay the taxes, even if they had it paid in full. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't keep it leased. They wouldn't have been able to pay their taxes or insurance or maintenance either. In other words, because they didn't know what they were doing, they were going to lose the property even if it was paid in full. Does that make sense? There's no such thing as debt-free investing in real estate because of taxes, insurance, and maintenance. You just want to make sure that you know the correct business model and the best practices to keep those things cash flowing. That's the bottom line. You've got to keep them cash flowing. You can't hide behind the marketplace. You can't hide behind the recession. I've been through 2 of them. It's not an excuse. It doesn't destroy your business model. You just have to keep plugging. You have to keep working. You have to keep running and managing your systems. Because a lot of people will give up. They will. They'll go, oh, it's not me. Oh, it was the market. It was that doggone Obama. It was that doggone Trump. It was that doggone Bush. Just ruined the economy. And I lost all my real estate. That's not what happened. they didn't know what they were doing. I guarantee you, he didn't have a mentor. He didn't have someone correcting him and encouraging him and informing him how to deal with the down market. So the argument that it's safer if you pay them in full is completely ridiculous, because there's no such thing as debt-free investing in real estate, even if you pay the things in full. Now, the next reason is more of a legal reason. It's that you don't want a huge amount of equity in your homes, single-family homes or apartment complexes. It's kind of like a poison pill, saying, sure, sue me. I owe, $7 million on this $10 million property. Sue me. You want the property? I'll give you the keys. See, they don't want to sue you because there's just not that much equity in there. And anyway, from asset protection point of view, they don't want to sue for the property anyway. That's a thing attorneys tell you that's just flat out false. It's not true. You know what they want? They want your insurance. That's where the money is. That $500,000 liability insurance you keep on each house, and that $1 million liability policy you keep, umbrella policy that you keep above all of your houses. And some of these apartments have 5, and I guess some apartments probably have a $10 million policy. So they don't want the property anyway. They want the insurance. So as long as you're insured properly, as long as you manage your property correctly, you're very safe investing in real estate. So now it comes down to, what about your personal residence? Should we pay off our personal residence? Only if you don't know how to make money. Only people who all they have is a job, that's all they do, that's all they're willing to do. Yeah, pay off your house. Why not? You don't know how to make money anyway, so at least pay off the house, which is costing you, 3%, 4% interest. But see, that's ludicrous for somebody who does know how to make money. The example I gave you was a house with a 27% rate of return. Why would you care if you're paying 4% on your home if that money's making you 27% in your investments? In other words, if you're sitting there with a $450,000 home paid in full, and you know how to make a 27% return on your money, why would you not go get an 80% loan, pull that, I said 450,000, right? Times 0.8, trusty calculator. Why wouldn't you take that $360,000, go buy 20 houses, ooh, nice, and make $8,000 a month for the rest of your life? You think that that $8,000 a month could pay the mortgage on your house? You bet it could. What would that mortgage be? About $3,000 a month. That's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Then you got $5,000 a month extra for fun. Travel, romance, charity, whatever you want to do with it. So not only do we not pay off our investment real estate, we do not pay off our homes either. In fact, one of the number one sources of capital for new members at Real Wealth Academy or any group is refinancing your house, pulling that money out and going and buying income-producing assets that give you a rate of return 5-6 times higher than the interest you're paying. The term is dead equity. If your home is paid in full and you have gotten off your rear end and learned how to make money, then that money, if it's dead equity, you've got money that should be working for you and your family, just sitting there in a house, not the highest and best use, as we discussed at the top of the hour. It's not the highest and best use of that money. But again, if you don't know how to make money, you're not willing to go out and learn, then yeah, pay off your home. At least you won't have that when you go into retirement, the principal and interest part. Okay, so there it is. That's why we don't pay off our real estate. If you've got a question on that, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Or you're welcome to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. And it doesn't have to be on the subject that we just discussed. If you're having trouble with a tenant, you're having trouble with maintenance, you're having trouble locating deals, you're having trouble negotiating, give me a call. I'll share with you my past experience, and maybe I've got something that can help you get past whatever obstacles holding you back. Maybe you're afraid of money, credit, time. Let me know what that is, because all those are simply excuses that people put in their brains to keep from taking action. And it's my job to eliminate those fears, those excuses, so that you can take action and move forward. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Excuse me. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Give me a call at 281-558-5738. You're listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle. Listen to the GetRealWealth.com radio show to find out how you can do it too. Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Phone lines are open now at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Or email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Asksteve@getrealwealth.com. I've got a question here from a Rich Club member, which, you know, it's hard to say this because it's kind of sad, but the Rich Club is no longer in business. And Real Wealth Academy, we have agreed to take on the Rich Club members. All you have to do is transfer your membership over to Real Wealth Academy. There's a $1 transfer fee. That's it. It's covers you, a spouse, and children 18 and under. And that's you, a spouse, or significant other, and children 18 and under. We have an incredible children's program that it's actually developed, it's actually been recorded, and it will be done live. We're thinking quarterly, but it may not need to be that often. It just depends on how many people enroll and how many want their kids to see it. But it is incredible. It is the information that I taught my son from the time he was really about 8, and my daughter. From the time they were about 8, I started introducing them to passive income. I introduced them to cash flow. We played the cash flow, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game. We, of course, played Monopoly. And I taught them from the time they were really old enough to walk, because they were around me all the time, that you have to have 2 streams of income, earned income and passive income. End result, my son graduated college with 11 rent houses and about $3,500, $4,000 a month passive income. If you teach your kids the right thing to do at a young age, they will do it. Now, that leads me to something else. Did you know that if you had been taught to build a second stream of income from the time you were 8, you know what you'd have right now? A second stream of income. You would have done it. And this goes back to Zig Ziglar, but it's Zig Ziglar's point that people are 100% successful at every single thing that they do. 100%. The problem is that we're not taught the effective things to do. In other words, you were taught to do well in high school, so what did you struggle to do? Do well in high school. Then you were taught to try and get into college, so what did you do? You struggled and got into college. Then you were told to get a job with a big company. They never said the word something you love, did they? No. They said get a high-paying job, whether you like it or not. And then they sent you across the country to get that job, away from your friends, away from your family, away from where you grew up, to make more money. I hear people say that all the time. My husband got a job offer in Montana, so we're moving to Montana. Wow, nice decision there. You decided to take money over quality of lifestyle? You think that extra money is going to improve your quality of lifestyle? That's your idea? You're going to move away from your family, away from your friends, away from what you love for some more money? And you're in, what are we, the second or third or fourth largest city? You can't find a good job in the fourth largest city in the nation? You got to move to Montana? This one irritates the daylights out of me. But see, people were told to do that. So that's why you do it. And you're successful at it. You're successful at the wrong things. Highly successful. But what if, again, I was your dad, and from the time you were old enough to walk, I forced it down your throat that you're supposed to have 2 streams of income? Guess what you would have done? Every one of you would have a second stream of income right now. Might not be as high as you want. Everybody wouldn't have the same amount, because people are different as far as their goals and so on. But you would have done it. I guarantee it. Because you are successful. You do what you say you're going to do. It's just you were told to do the wrong things. Or, we won't use the word wrong, we'll use the word ineffective. You were told to do ineffective things by people who had also been taught to do ineffective things, whose parents taught them to do ineffective things, and their grandparents taught their parents how to do ineffective things, and their great-grandparents taught their grandparents to do. See the vicious cycle? It's just being passed on over and over and over and over again. What we're doing at Real Wealth Academy is we're teaching people how to change their family tree financially, to break that cycle. Why does our membership cover spouse and kids 18 and under? In other words, you buy one membership to Real Wealth Academy, it covers spouse and children 18 and under. Because we're going to break that vicious cycle, we have to educate everyone in a family to do that. Otherwise, it'll revert back. If only the dad knows, or only the mom knows, and they don't share it with the dad or the mom, or share it with their kids, then guess what? They're just going to repeat the vicious cycle, because our high schools and colleges are teaching what? The vicious cycle. They're teaching you how to be a cog in the machine. And what you learn at Real Wealth Academy is how to get out of that position, change what you're doing, and change the results you're getting. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Now let's take one more question here. Oh, okay, that's just something about the free workshop tonight. Okay, let's look at this. Tenant behind on rent and doesn't want to move. This one is so simple, but let me read it, and in your mind, you can see how everybody thinks their story's different. Everybody, as they're managing property, because the tenant has some cock and bull story. I don't know what that means. What's cock and bull? They think their situation's different. It's not. If someone doesn't pay their rent, evict them. There's no, but this, and this. No. Did they pay their rent? Because I'm telling you, when you stand in front of a judge, that's all they ask. Did they pay their rent? No. Then they look at the tenant and go, did you pay your rent? And the tenant starts their cock and bull story, and this judge is rude. If you've ever watched Judge Judy, you'll know exactly what it's like. I didn't ask you that. I asked you a simple question. Did you pay your rent or not? Yeah, but he didn't fix the AC. I didn't ask that. Did you pay your rent? No. Then he may or she may say, well, why not? Then they can give their cock and bull story, but judges see right through it, just like I'm teaching you to see right through it. They didn't pay the rent. They got to go. So let me read this to you. I have a tenant who is renting out a room in my house. Horrible idea, by the way. She's just renting out the room for herself, and she has been behind on rent for 3 months. She has been slowly paying a couple hundred every few weeks, and it's been going for months now. Are you kidding me? You can't let this go for months. It happens once, and you evict. People go, well, it took me 6 months to get the tenant out of the house. Evictions are not 22 days like Steve says. They are 22, 24 days. It's that you didn't start the eviction process for 40 days. 40 plus 22, 62 days. Her financial situation doesn't seem to have improved, and she is still perpetually behind on her rent. I don't want to get involved with an attorney in an eviction. You don't need to get involved with an attorney in eviction. You just need to call the judge and find out his process or her process for eviction. Now, I know it's not supposed to be this way. I'm just telling you what it is like. Every judge has a little bit different way of doing it. They have a different form they want filled out. They have a different... Yeah, that's pretty much it when I think about it. There's a little bit different paperwork that needs to be done to start the eviction. And all you do, and this is how you preempt that, this is by being proactive, habit 1 of the 7 habits. The minute you buy a property, who do you call first? The judge in your area that would handle an eviction. And go ahead and open up a conversation with them about the eviction process in that judge's office. Because then when a tenant doesn't pay their rent, or you find out they've harmed the property and you need to evict them, you know exactly what to do. You know exactly what to do. So in this particular case, I read all that stuff to you. Could you see through it? I bet you can. There was nothing there special about that story. She's just not paying her rent. She's got to go. Start the eviction. Now, some of you might say, especially experienced investors, since they're living in a house together, that can get very nasty. That's why I said never lease houses. Never lease a room in your house. If you can't afford the house, don't buy it. Don't buy a house and go, I'm going to rent out rooms to be able to afford it. Worst idea ever. That's worse than leasing to a friend or a relative. Don't do it. Don't do it. It never ends well. That's a rule, of course, but it never ends well. So in this particular case, he could offer her a few $100s for moving money to get her out and avoid an eviction, but I would do both in this particular case. I would file for eviction and offer her a couple $100s to get out, to see if she'll get the heck out, and then don't ever lease a room in your house again. All right, GetRealWealth.com radio show. We'll be back after the break. Phone lines are open, 281-558-KSEV. You're listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening.
Did
Did you know that 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle? You can and should have some real estate in your portfolio. This is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Starting with bad credit and no money at age 27, I began investing in real estate. By 30, I was retired. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, we are in the final segment of the show, so please have the courage, use a fake name if you need to, but get your question answered at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, got an interesting question here, and I'm going to leave this anonymous because I know this individual. He is a completely passive investor, no job, but he's got I'm going to assume a large, he just says equity, but generally when people email me, it's something substantial or they wouldn't want to pull it out. He has a lot of equity in his primary residence, but are having issues getting a loan since we don't have any earned income. Any solutions? This one is very, very challenging because you're financially independent, but you're trying to get a loan, and then they're looking at your tax returns, and you may have made $100,000, but your K-1s have depreciation taken out of them. So even though you put $100,000 in your pocket, your K-1s say you only had $30,000, whatever the circumstance is, and boom, you can't qualify for a mortgage with $30,000 a year. The only way that I've seen this occur is if a bank understands K-1s. You've got to find a investor-friendly bank. And unfortunately, I don't know one right off the top of my head because I've been 2 years in a non-compete. I haven't really been in the business for a while. But I will find you one, listener, and get it to you later this afternoon. Because I do have a lead on one. I will verify it, and then I'll get with you on that. So I appreciate the email, and we'll figure something out. We'll find some bank that understands that you're actually making more money than your K-1s say. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-5738, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, this is another question from a Rich Club member. Rich Club, the Rich Club was the realty investment community of Houston, and the owners of it one of them got an incredible job offer, and she took it. So they were going to literally just close it and let it go, let it die. But neither of the owners wanted to do that. They loved the Rich Club. They did everything they could to keep it up and running. They busted their rear ends to do so, having meetings, keeping up with the members and so on, keeping all the benefits up and running. But they just couldn't do it anymore. So I agreed to service their members for a time period. And the reason I say it that way, well, really, I can't say much more than that. Bottom line is, I'm giving a 1-year membership to any Rich Club member for just $1 to transfer over to Real Wealth Academy. And that $1 covers you, your spouse or significant other, and kids 18 and under. So if you are a member or former member of the Realty Investment Club of Houston or the Realty Investment Community of Houston, that's the offer. Take it, because we are going to do, our system is a much more robust system than Rich ever was. Our services are extensive by comparison, including a 2-day class, including unlimited question and answer with the mentors at Real Wealth Academy for an entire year. So where the Rich Club was basically a networking place, this is an actual mentoring program. So for that $1, you get our 2-day class. Upon graduation from the 2-day class, you get unlimited question and answer on everything in the 2-day class. It's just like I said, it's a much more robust program. I guarantee you'll be happy. I'll give you your dollar back. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. Okay, why do I care about the Rich Club? Interesting email, interesting question, very blunt, because some of my first mentors came out of the Rich Club. My first wholesaling mentor came out of the Rich Club. My first flipping mentor came out of the Rich Club. Yes, the Rich Club has sentimental value to me, for sure. So that's part of the reason. And the other part is I want to have more members. No question. It's a great kickstart for my company to get the Rich Club members over here and start helping and serving them. And, I've got a staff. I've got everybody hired. I need members. So it's a win-win for me and the Rich members. Okay. All right. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. 281-558-5738. Okay, here's a Michaela. Michaela, I want to be respectful with this question, but if you're so successful, here it comes. If you're so successful with real estate investing, why do you teach it? I'll tell you, it's such a simple answer, but it shocks people, and I don't like saying it a lot on the air because obviously it goes out to people who might get the wrong impression. The reason I do it is because I don't like real estate. I don't like putting my own deals together. I don't like negotiating. I don't like managing the properties. I'm not excited about sticks and bricks and ACs and things like that. My passion is teaching. I love to teach. I have more fun negotiating for someone else than I do for myself. And the analogy I'll give you is some of you are very, very good cooks, and you love to cook. Would you go get a job at a restaurant? You wouldn't, would you? Because you love to cook for people you love, not strangers. See, I love to do real estate deals for other people. I don't love to do real estate deals for me. That's why all of my investments are passively into other syndicators' deals. I don't do any of my own deals anymore. I just invest in other people's deals. Okay, let's go to the phone lines now. Joe in Houston is calling. Joe, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
You're welcome. I have a house with pretty good equity in it. Unfortunately, I can't pull any of it out because, like you were just speaking about, I can't prove enough income. I have Social Security. Yeah, I have Social Security. I'm a rideshare driver.
Okay.
I actually make. As a rideshare driver, I actually make about $45,000-$50,000 a year. But again, nobody will give me any money. So, how can I go out and get a property?
Generally, you're going to have to look. Owner financing is rare, but that's one way. Private money is probably where you would want to go, Joe. Tell me your experience, though. How many houses have you bought? What have you done in the past as far as real estate investing?
I'll be very honest with you. The last time I did anything was years ago down in South Florida when everybody was bailing out on their condos, and it was really, really easy to pick them up. And I haven't done anything in a long time. And
That's still a good story, though.
Yeah, I mean, those were the days when the interest rates were like 12, 14, 16%, and people were bailing on their condos, and you could pick them up, pennies on a dollar, and it was a good situation.
Was this the early 80s?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And this was down in Fort Lauderdale and Boca Raton and in Deerfield Beach. I mean, I wish I kept on doing it. I kept on moving around. I was in the restaurant business at that time. I kept on moving around. I wish I had just stayed put and just accumulated so much money that I would have been in good shape today.
Okay.
So life goes on.
Right. Well, the next step, okay, there's, again, owner finance deals, there's private money, then there's syndication, where you actually partner with somebody, and this may not even be a syndication if it's just you and a friend. The way that I was able to do it and the way that I've seen other people do it, one guy bought 75 houses in 1 year, I think it was, either 54 houses or 75 houses in 1 year. I couldn't figure out how he did it because his partners were putting up their credit. And that's how you can do it as well. If you're a member of a real estate investor group like ours, you're going to meet tons of people that have credit, but they don't want to do the work. And if you say, look, I've already done this, I owned a bunch of condos, who cares if it was 30 years ago? I've owned condos, I know how to run them, you put up the credit, we'll buy them, I'll run them, split the profit. So there's quite a few ways, Joe.
Let me ask you one other question. How do you feel about non-performing loans? Because I've checked that out where there are some people out there who actually lend me money. They haven't mentioned interest rates yet, but they don't show. In other words, I don't have to produce any income. All they're concerned about is my property.
All right, you mind holding on, and I'll talk to you off the air because we're at the end of the show.
Not a problem. Sorry.
Yeah, don't hang up. I'll talk to you in just a second. Okay, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Remember, you can email me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at AskSteve@GetRealWealth.com. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.